This video is brought to you by Brilliant. In case you haven't noticed, something utterly extraordinary is happening in Canadian politics. The Liberals, who 3 months ago were politically dead in the polls and were set to have one of the biggest defeats in Canadian history, have surged ahead of the Conservatives. An Angus Reid poll released this week had the Liberals at 42%, led by newly minted Prime Minister Mark Carney, 5 points ahead of Pierre Poilievre's Conservatives. For context, as recently as December, the Liberals were down 29 points against the Conservatives, which means we've seen a 34-point swing in just a few months. If these numbers hold, they would undoubtedly produce the biggest political upset in Canadian history, and perhaps one of the biggest election upsets seen in a Western democratic country this century. So in this video, we're going to explain how Mark Carney revived the Liberals, and whether he can hold this momentum for an impending spring election. Could you rank every single politician in the world? Hear our thoughts and argue with us on our podcast, the World Leader Leaderboard. Find it over on the TLDR Podcast YouTube channel or in your favourite podcast app. First, what explains this reversal in Liberal fortunes? Well, as we mentioned in previous videos, it mainly has to do with Trump. Since winning the election, Trump has non-stop talked about Canada becoming the 51st state, and threatened to hit Canada as well as USMCA partner Mexico with 25% tariffs, which are supposed to come into effect on April the 2nd. If enacted, these tariffs would likely result in a deep economic pain for the Canadian economy, with the OECD cutting Canada's growth forecast for this year from 2% to less than 1%. While Trump has continued to delay his tariff action, the tension has hung over Canadian politics and made many Canadians feel uneasy, as well as questioned their relationship with the United States. The incumbent Liberal government, first led by Trudeau and now Carney, has pushed back hard and warned Trump that they would impose their own tariffs if Trump went ahead with his. These policies are popular. 66% of Canadians are in favour of retaliatory 25% tariffs on all American imports. 70% are in favour of tariffing key US imports, and 65% support a complete embargo on critical Canadian exports to the US. Railing against Trump has lifted the Liberals back into relevance and even saved the reputation of Justin Trudeau, at least in terms of polling. When Trudeau announced his resignation on January 6, 2025, his approval was at 22%. Now, in mid-March, his final approval rating is 47%, a 25-point jump. The message has also shown to be politically potent with Ontario Premier Doug Ford, who ran an aggressively anti-Trump campaign during the Ontario provincial snap election in February, being easily re-elected for a third consecutive majority government. His government's approval rating also went from 33% in November 2024 to 53% in late February. The point being that playing tough towards the US has its benefits for Canadian politicians at the moment, and Canadians may be willing to overlook the economy, housing and immigration if it means playing hard against Trump. This is something incoming Prime Minister Mark Carney, who recently won the Liberal leadership election, is clearly aware of. In his first press conference, he said he wouldn't even talk to Trump until he withdrew his threats to turn Canada into the 51st state. And polling suggests that Canadians think Carney is far better equipped to take on Trump than Poilievre. More bluntly, Carney now has a 12-point lead over Poilievre as to who Canadians think would be the best Prime Minister. At last measurement, when Trudeau was Prime Minister, Poilievre had a 19-point lead. Carney has also taken an important Conservative issue off the table. The repeal of the carbon tax has been a staple of Pierre Poilievre's campaign against the Liberal government, saying it's a needless burden on Canadians. But last Friday, his first day as Prime Minister, Carney reduced the consumer carbon tax rate to 0%, effectively eliminating it. While Poilievre has said that he would repeal the tax altogether, as opposed to just reducing it, it has reduced the effectiveness of the issue. And with Canadians increasingly focused on different issues, it's turned Poilievre's hyper-focus on it from a positive to a negative. So are Mark Carney and the Liberals the favourites? Well, as of right now, yeah. In polls coming from Angus Reid, Lager and Ipsos, all reputable pollsters that have had the Conservatives up previously for months, now show the Liberals in the lead. In Canada, given the way the national vote is distributed and the fact that they use a first-past-the-post electoral system, the Liberals only need to win the popular vote by a couple of points to win an outright majority, while the Conservatives need to win by 8 to 10 points to do so. Also aiding the Liberals is the collapse of their former supply and confidence partner, the New Democrats, led by Jagmeet Singh. Singh, who used to be the most popular federal leader in the country, is now the most unpopular leader, having an approval rating of -25. Carney, meanwhile, enjoys an approval rating of +15. New Democrats, worried about the threat of Trump, not trusting Poilievre, and being dissatisfied with Singh, are flocking to the Liberals, and if this holds, Carney would be in a good position to win. This is reflected in the 338 Canada forecast, which now gives the Liberals an 85% chance of winning the most seats, with a 55% chance of winning an outright majority. It's reduced the Conservative chances of winning a majority to only 1%, an unbelievably severe reversal of electoral fortunes. However, while these wild swings in polling have given way to a sense in certain quarters that a Liberal victory is inevitable, it should be noted that history isn't on Carney's side, and Canadian election campaigns can be volatile. In 1984, Liberal Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau, who was massively unpopular, resigned and was replaced by John Turner. The Liberals subsequently saw a massive polling boost under Turner, leading by 10 points when Turner called an election. However, eventually the situation reverted back to the mean, and the Progressive Conservatives won a massive majority that they were originally predicted to win. A similar thing happened in 1993, when Mulroney left and was replaced by Kim Campbell. Campbell enjoyed a high approval rating, and Conservatives saw a rebound. However, as you can see by this graph, over the campaign, the Conservatives lost their position and saw their majority reduced from 156 seats to just 2. A similar thing happened in modern Canadian politics in 2011, when the Liberals, led by Michael Ignatieff, were on track to be the official opposition only to dramatically lose ground to late NDP leader Jack Layton, who was able to lead the party to become the official opposition for the first time in history, shortly before succumbing to his battle with cancer. The point we're trying to make is that in Canada, general election campaigns matter a lot, so don't be surprised if Carney is able to hold on, or if Poilievre and the Conservatives make a comeback of their own. That being said, Trump's continued threats mean that the election will probably focus on Trump's threats, which could help Carney over the line. At TLDR News, we're always trying to help you learn more about the world around you. Luckily for us, our sponsor this week, Brilliant, shares this same commitment, with thousands of lessons in maths, science, programming, and AI. And not only that, their interactive lessons teach you by doing, instead of just asking you to mindlessly memorize stuff. This helps you build your critical thinking skills and become a better thinker. For instance, Brilliant's newly updated maths courses help you establish a strong foundation in algebra. Then helps you build on this, teaching you how to conquer calculus, all while maintaining an emphasis on problem solving and reasoning. The thing I like best about this, though, is that their mathematical courses help you develop your mathematical intuition and fluency, skills that you can use in the real world. As we've told you before, data skills are absolutely necessary for navigating the modern world, and Brilliant is the best way to get them. To try Brilliant for free, visit brilliant.org/TLDR or scan the QR code on screen, or you can click the link in the description. You'll also get 20% off an annual premium subscription.